All right, I think we're on. All right, welcome back to another episode of Mitten Athletics Live. We are here tonight again, me, Aaron Ide, and
I'm Colin Hunter.
didn't warn him he was taking a drink.
Oh.
We are sponsored as always by Mitten Athletic Supplies, your one-stop shop for all your track and field needs. Please check out the cups.
Well, I don't know. Is it what does the live thing actually look like? Does it switch to who's talking?
I don't think so. I think I watched that one day just to check, and I think it's good. I think it shows both screens with only two of us.
Okay, well, good.
Anyway, your one-stop shop for all of your track and field needs. Please come check us out. Send us an email, mittenathleticssupply@gmail.com. We're here to answer your questions, help you get what you need, whatever we can do.
That time of year, you should probably ask your AD to buy stuff right now if you want it by springtime.
Yes. And there's everyone's trying to do the same thing right now.
I asked my AD if I can buy something this afternoon.
Yes.
So anyway.
All right. Well, today's episode, we're hoping to have a guest on. Unfortunately, that's going to get pushed 1 week, but that is okay. It'll be a fun guest, something new for us. We're having a college coach on, so that'll be different.
We've done that before.
We did?
Yeah.
Who?
Our first guest.
Oh my gosh, we had Lonnie on. Well, no, all right. Shoot.
Jerk.
Yep, I am a jerk. Lonnie will never forgive me.
Okay, well, in keeping with the spirit of the week, I have a few spooky, scary questions for you.
Oh, let's see what you did there.
Spooky, scary. So let's just get into it.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So I'm wondering, I think we touched on this a little bit before. I asked you before and you said we didn't, but I think that we kind of hit it at some point just a little bit. But sport specialization versus kids doing as many sports as possible.
Okay.
Let's just talk generally around there. For instance, I think probably a lot of track coaches will say that kids should be doing as many sports as possible. A lot of good coaches will say that.
Yep.
Right. And this is in response to, I only played football, but I'm not sure. Can you remember, was the travel scene? So Lisa, my wife, played softball, and she played for multiple travel teams, right? Not all at once, just along her career. She played for a few different travel teams, only one team at a time. Okay. I'm trying to remember if it seemed like the travel sports scene was as crazy as it was back then, as it is now, right?
No.
So now you see kids that they play only soccer year round, only basketball year round, only volleyball year round. Football is actually almost starting to get that way because of 7-on-7 leagues in the summertime.
Flag football and this and that.
Yeah. So it's like, I love to complain about that. But the funny thing is if you think about it, as an example, a good distance runner is more than likely only a distance runner all year long. Now there's some exceptions.
When you say good, do you mean good or do you mean your elite level?
I mean, if you want to be a scoring athlete,
okay,
there are very few exceptions. Now, for instance, we have a few girls who play soccer. I've got a few girls in the cross country team who play soccer in the spring, so they don't run track, right? And they're still good runners. One of them is a scoring runner. The other one could be if she took it a little more seriously, probably. But so there's exceptions, right? But in Michigan, soccer season is this boys soccer season is the same as cross, right? So there's not as much boys soccer and cross country crossover.
Yep.
Right. In Michigan.
Yep.
I've known of a few who did both at the same time at a school. Okay. I've over the years had a kid who played travel soccer and ran cross country. Okay. But for the boys soccer players, they're usually like our good long sprinters in the spring.
Yeah.
But to be a good distance runner, scoring athlete in your top 7 on a cross country team, you have to be running year round. So this goes counter to my general want for kids to not specialize. It's ironic.
And I'm going to say it because it's not exactly true, but I'm going to say that I think you see that more in the distance than other events. And I only say that because I think the distance bodes more to truly needing to put in the mileage, needing to put, you have to get there, right?
Right.
But I think a lot of your other events, I want to see you can get away with just being explosive, but you can get away with being a very explosive athlete and not running 100 all the time, but coming out and doing it. Or as we've seen, not being a long jumper until your junior year and deciding, hey, I play basketball. I can probably also long jump and high jump. Like, I think you see, and again, there are one-offs, right? And we're talking one-off things, but I think generically in other events, you can see people do that more. And I think there's a better crossover from your explosion of your plyos of volleyball and basketball and football foot speed, then you see crossover into the 100 and the 400, high jump, long jump, shot put, discus, you name it. But I agree with you that there are certain events, there are certain sports where you really just have to do it. Swimming, I think, is another one, especially for your distance swimming. You just have to be swimming. If not, you're just not going to have that aerobic capability.
Or swimming is so technique driven.
Yeah.
Like, it's so technique driven. There's a few kids who have run for us who were good swimmers, I think, because they were good runners and their aerobic capacity was just enormous because we made them run a lot. But they weren't great swimmers because they weren't in the pool year round.
Right.
And that's another love-hate for me. Like, I've seen good runners ditch running in favor of only swimming.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I agree. It's always fun when we see, okay, there's whatever sprinter or thrower in the area, kid XYZ.
Yep.
And I'm always curious, okay, let's say he's running a sub 10 or he's throwing 50 something, right? I wonder if he's getting recruited for track or football. Does he have a Twitter page? Is his Twitter header him in football pads or a track singlet? Which one is it?
And that's a whole nother argument here. People, well, not argument, but a conversation here. People talk about: are you a football player who does track, or are you a track athlete who plays football? And that can go between any sport, right? But yeah, like, which one is it?
Right.
Normally, you have one main sport, but I think I will agree with your sentiment. Well, I don't think. I know I agree with your sentiment. I'm old school. I love multi-sport athletes.
Right. The only hard part is like, keep going.
I think specialization is what is going to be the overall, I won't say downfall, but large hindrance in what our student athletes' capabilities will ever be.
I think so. Throwing is a odd one because you get so much multiplanar motion.
Yep.
Right. Like you can be a pretty healthy athlete, and just because of what's involved in being a good thrower, you could only throw and be a healthy limber, not so much overuse on one particular area of your body, because there's just, the weight room is so important. Multiplanar motion is so important. Sprinting, there's still a lot of good multiplanar stuff, but even sprinting is running form.
Yep.
Which is less, it's less planes of motion. So I still want sprinters doing something else in the fall, probably in the summer. Just to keep their bodies healthy.
Yeah. And
right.
to train other muscle groups that you're not using all the time while you're
Right.
sprinting or throwing or jumping.
The hardest part of it as a coach is we're just hoping and praying that our best athletes are healthy in March.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one. I love cheering for all their sports in the building.
Yep.
And I hope that certain people don't get used up and hurt and aren't a shell of themselves come springtime.
You're not thinking of anybody in particular?
Oh, no, I would never.
No, I agree. But that's where, honestly,
Hey, you consider the same thing with indoor season too. Like,
I was just gonna say, that's the same thing where we have to have trust in ourselves and not doing an indoor season, and we have to have trust in the rest of the coaching staff of whatever school you're at. Yep. You have to have trust with the rest of the coaching staff that, you know what, they want the best for the athlete, not just for the direct program, but for the athlete. And if we're all in this the way we should be as coaches, that's all we should want. But it is easy to get caught up when you get in the right time of year where it's like, yeah, but if we just maybe that one more, like, yeah, I know it's not quite that one more play or one more throw or one more, but then that could be the one too many if you know that there's something else underlying happening.
So related, taking this a step further, is Cantwell a senior right now, or was that last year?
No, he is a senior this year.
And he's going for football, right?
He might be a junior this year.
He's not a junior because he was actually being recruited. He was actually narrowing schools down last year, so he has to be a senior.
You are right. Yes, but we might not. There's talk we might not see him throw again.
That's my question. Is he someone on his level? So he's going for football, but he was also he won Nike as a sophomore, right?
He might have won as a freshman as well, but he won as a sophomore for sure, and won as a junior.
Right.
He
so
third furthest high school thrower.
How much of that for him was freak of nature versus training? Speaking as a throwing coach.
Honestly, I think it's 50-50. He has 2 Olympians as parents.
Right.
So that already right there is putting some good genes in your body. But he also has 2 Olympians as parents, which means they know how to train. And he has been training for a long time.
Do you think he touched a shot during football season ever?
Yes.
You think so?
I think so. Do I think he's good?
To be that good, you can't put it down for 3 months of the year.
No, I don't know, and somebody will hopefully somebody chimes on and tells me I'm wrong, because it would be fun to see the real side of this. But I have a feeling that even up until this year, he probably touched shot as much as he touched a football field during football season. I only say that because when you're that big, he's good at football because he's good at football, but also because he is a very large athletic human being. And he has to know how to play football, and I'm not taking that away. But what I'm saying is that if you're that big and you're that strong, you can do a lot of things on the football field, especially at the high school level, without that being your main thing, if you will.
Miami. He's going to Miami.
He's going to Miami. But so part of his requirements when he picked a school were that they had to allow him to throw.
Okay, so that was
part of his Part of
Miami
his
makes
requirement.
sense because who also threw at Miami historically?
A lot of people.
With Vince Wilfork,
Yeah,
who I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame yet,
he will be.
and Ed Reed. Ed Reed was a NCAA champ jab thrower, wasn't he?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Wolfork was I'm pretty sure Wolfork was a champ shot putter.
Shot putter, and they had one. I think they had a discus thrower, like in that same era.
In that same,
It's crazy, but yeah, there were a few schools, and like Oregon was looking at him hard, and Oregon would have let him play both too. But that was one of his requirements, or at least, again, this is what I'm hearing. I've heard it on other podcasts and stuff that his requirements were that he could throw and that he was playing football, but he was being recruited for football, but with the ability to throw.
interesting.
Yeah. So
Okay. So a related question, and well, more like a training question. And I thought of this, and I want to talk to a sprint coach about this sometime, and talking to our guest next week, who's a throwing coach, right?
yes.
It would be interesting to ask him too. But I believe Tyler, Jermaine, former guest. Hopefully another be on here again as soon as we can ask this question.
Yes.
He was on Twitter, and there's a website called Simply Faster, and they rep a lot of different track stuff. That's where we get the free lap from, which is our timing system for sprint practice.
Okay.
And they've got a really good blog, like historically, and just there's a lot of like paradigm shifting stuff, a lot of coaches involved with kind of like pretty revolutionary training concepts
Okay.
the past decade as far as sprinting goes. I'm assuming you know the name Tony Holler, just by proximity, right?
Yep.
So feed the cats. Tony wrote a lot of stuff with Simply Faster. And Tyler commented that he hasn't seen anything interesting. No big ground shaking blogs or articles lately. And that made me think, like, at what point do we not need a paradigm shift? Because in the sprinting world, the big paradigm shift, especially in the high school area, is the feed the cats concept, where Tony Holler grew up in the Clyde Hart Baylor system, where you just go run 10 by 400, and regardless of what distance you ran, and that's just like the workout, and it's like the workout of death, and just trying to build huge aerobic capacities, not spending a whole time on speed. And Tony's whole concept is that sucks. It's not fun. Kids don't want to do it. It's not smart from a speed perspective. And so he invented Feed the Cats. I mean, it's really just focusing on max speed, explosiveness, rest and recovery. And his big thing is record, rank, publish. So every one of Plainfield North, that high school he coached at, every one of their practices, he was recording something.
Yep.
Recording something every one of their practices. And he would rank it and publish it. And so that's a pretty ground shaking concept in the past decade or so, to do very little long more aerobic style training for a sprinter, and only focusing on max speed reps of 30 meters or less, sometimes 10 meters or less, and doing very little volume, and just being as fast and as healthy as possible. Now, I in generally, I think where you are, like what your environment and your demographics are, makes a big difference.
Yep.
And we still do some workouts that he wouldn't like. But we do a ton more max speed related work than we would have done before if we hadn't seen it work other places. But so that's a huge shift.
Yep.
So I'm thinking like, okay, we have all these coaches who are into this now. At what point are we like, we don't need something different. What we're doing works. We don't need a paradigm shift. If we're searching for the next thing, we're getting diminishing returns. And so I'm curious if in your time, from what you've seen, has there been a shift like that in the throwing world? Do you have
Mhm.
people trying to change things?
I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes. Maybe not uh quite to that level, but I've seen a lot more. Some of them work, some of them don't. But oddball drills, like weird things, just things that I mean, they're overly complicated. You have to set up 4 cones, too many hurdles, and somebody's holding a water bottle in their left hand and have to hold the right hand. I mean, all these oddball things that, like, I get what they're trying to do, and it's trying to get you to focus on certain things coming out of the back and coming out through the middle. But overall, I mean, no. I mean, I think your last true, well, okay, I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna come back to something, but your last true big paradigm shift was glide to rotational when that became the new big thing. Because it happened and people were doing it, but it was, I mean, glide was still a big thing for a long time. But I mean, we talked about this once before. You may have seen your last ever true world class glider. It might be done, especially on the guy side. Maybe not the girl side. I still think there's a chance you could see it, but on the guy side, I just don't know if you're going to see
Is
it.
Walsh a glider? Or am I thinking of Daryl?
No, it's Stroll was probably the last big from Germany.
Okay.
Stroll was probably the last big glider. There's been a few here and there that have kind of tried to still show, and there's still a few around that are trying it. But overall, I mean, it's not there now. Shifting back, I said that there wasn't really any big changes, and then 2 years ago, out comes the Krauser slide, and now everyone's
Yeah.
doing it. Now it's small, but it's him trying to push that envelope, right? It's him trying to create something new out of that. And now you're seeing this, which I think is more of a uh I don't say a joke, but somebody trying something super crazy. But the discus start, you've seen it where it's almost like a half turn into a full throw and
Mhm.
discus. Like, you're gonna see weird things. Tom Walsh does a like over, like it's not a it's a 360 in out of the back. He starts with his right foot like in the middle of the circle, so it's a really really big sweep. There are people trying different things that kind of
So
help.
his right foot in the middle of the circle, he's facing. So if I'm looking from the back to the front, he's facing to the left.
He's facing. If you're looking back to, yes, he's facing left. So he steps his right foot way back. Like normally you start both feet in the back of the circle. He
Right.
steps his right foot way back. So he kind of turns himself. So when he starts, it's more of a sweep coming around. Kind of like the Krauser slide where you're creating more momentum and creating more shift out of the back. There are people who try different things and it's worked well for Tom. And obviously the Krauser slide has worked well for Ryan. But I think overall, like, they're unique things for certain people. I don't think that it's a paradigm shift. I think it's them trying to create certain things that work with their body.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So I'm going to say no. Not there hasn't really been a big one since glide to rotational.
I think the biggest one in distance is lately probably double threshold training, where see how technical do I want to get? So threshold is like, if you've heard of like tempo running,
Mhm.
threshold is basically a little faster than that. Faster than tempo running, slower than 5K race pace.
Okay.
Okay. Um, threshold, it refers to lactate threshold, and that's where blood lactate or lactate, your blood lactate levels rise. Hydrogen ions build up in your muscles. Anyway, so like that's like we found probably some of the best bang for your buck training that you can do is threshold training. And then the Norwegians basically figured out that you can do 2 smaller threshold sessions in one day
Okay.
and get a little more juice out of it rather
Okay.
than one bigger one. So shorter reps, smaller volume, but twice in a day.
Okay.
But in the high school, that's not really, I can't do that in high school because I'm not going to get kids. I shouldn't say I'm not going to get kids there. I don't have a big desire to get kids there at 7 a.m. and then also practice at whatever time. Right.
Well, and a lot of those when they're doing it where they have specific recoveries in between, and they have specific plans and everything else. These kids are getting done and going to sit in a chair in school.
Right. That and I can't. I could actually. There are high school coaches that measure blood lactate mid workout, but I don't have a huge desire to do that right now. So
yeah.
But for the most part, like a lot of what we do, it's proven to work. It has been proven to work for a long time, and like I don't have a huge desire to chase trends as a distance coach. And I don't think there's a whole lot of trends to chase right now. I think that a lot of sports science has gone into how aerobic training works.
Yep.
And the writing, I always roll my eyes like at clinics and stuff when coaches ask for exact workouts. And it's like, that's not like writing the workouts is really not, I don't think it's the hard part.
Yeah.
Convincing kids to race a good 5K is the hardest part. Right? Like training them is not hard. A lot of stuff works for high schoolers. I let like Joe Chiramonte, our strength coach, has said that like a lot of stuff works for high school kids. You can have terrible training principles and they're probably going to get fitter.
Yep.
Because that's how their bodies work right now. Convincing them to do things that suck. That's the hard part. So
I don't know if it gets any easier in college, honestly.
Maybe not.
they just have the ability to do other things without having somebody watching them.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of college, here's the other spooky, scary topic. Can you add like a Halloween sound in post production? Yeah, exactly. Have you seen anything on the internet or socials or whatever about what's going on at Iowa State right now?
I have. I've read a little bit, but I don't know a lot about it because everything I read always kind of refers to like you should already know what's going on, and I'm like, well, I sadly don't know what's going on. Shame on me.
Basically, there's a big stew of stuff, and what's going on right now is Iowa State is currently the number one. I believe they're the top ranked team in the NCAA cross country men's. Their top, like, I don't know. I haven't actually looked at the roster much, but it's basically an African team.
Okay.
And Iowa State has always recruited a few Kenyans. But right now, like, it's Team Kenya, basically.
Okay.
With how the NCAA works right now and NIL and everything, Iowa State has a lot. It's not a bunch of boys from Iowa. Let's put it that way. But so late last week.
Okay.
It broke on letsrun.com on the message boards, and it's really hard to like parse through the information on that website because some of the things people write are just terrible, and it's just like classic internet arguing like immediately.
Yep.
But basically, word got out that somebody got suspended from the Iowa State team. and the conclusions everyone jumps to is that it's the Kenyans because all the Kenyan runners in the world are doping somehow. Right?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that what actually happened was that one of the non-Kenyans who was not in the top 7 got caught with EPO.
Okay.
I think this kid is from New Jersey. So
Okay.
he's an American kid, gets caught with EPO, and then rats out a bunch of other runners on the team who are also on EPO.
Okay.
Okay. And so everybody's like, oh, who's all the runners? That must be all the Kenyans.
Uh-huh.
Right. And Big 12s are this weekend.
Yep.
And so everybody's waiting for the roster that gets declared because then we'll know, who's clean, who's not. And like part of what I'm going to ask you is your experience of this. NCAA drug testing is like non-existent. It's the Wild West.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's different, but man, I remember when we got done throwing, I think it was my sophomore year at Big Tens. It was my junior year. Either way, it doesn't matter. They take every winner right there. Like
Really?
you don't get time to say, you get like a congratulations to your family, and they're like grabbing your arm like you got to go. And I remember they do it randomly too. And I remember getting like, I was like, 16th or something. And they're like, come on, you're going. I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, yep, you've been randomly selected. And it's like, they just grab you and you don't have a choice. You just say, I'll see you guys later.
Did you get pulled?
Yeah, I was pulled twice during my career.
Okay,
randomly.
so let's pause there. So anyway, Iowa State's roster gets declared today, and it's their top 7 from a previous meet who they're all their leading runners. So the guys who are suspended are not in that group.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so my basic question is, what is your experience with anti-doping? I feel I want to ask, did you ever see anybody with stuff, which might put you in an awkward position if you did? I mean,
No.
Speak as broadly as you want to speak, but like, what's your how? What was it like when you were there? What, 10 years ago now? More than that?
More than that. It was 13 years ago I graduated now.
Okay, yeah.
So it was, there were ways you can get away with things, at least for a while, at least back then, if you really, really wanted to. But it was hard, right? I didn't know anybody specifically, but I've heard stories, even people that were at schools when I was there, where they got away, and I'm not saying doping stuff, but other things. They got away with stuff that, then some of it was, they'd find creative ways to talk their way out of it. Some of it was, there's always, you hear about it, not even just in college sports, but synthetic urine and this and fake bladders and that and everything else. And, at least back then, they don't sit in there next to you while you pee. You're in an open stall, but you're peeing and I'm facing away from them. So if you have to drop your pants all the way down and you sit there and pee, and it's awkward, scenario. But like, if you were really creative and you really wanted to, there's people who can get around things. And I think there always will be. At any level. And there was always stories, you do this and you do that. And testing was different 13 years ago too, right? I don't think they're as accurate as they are now. And they didn't find certain, but I do know of a few people who tested for certain things, not performance enhancing, but tested for certain things that didn't end up getting in trouble for certain things. And
I imagine there's some recreational use in there, right?
Yeah. So, but as far as performance enhancing, no, I didn't know anybody personally that truly got caught with anything performance enhancing. But still, like, we had random drug tests, and they called them random, and there were, but they also were a little pointed, and not just in a bad way. But if they knew somebody had a chance to win Big Tens or something, we had random drug tests even at Michigan State where they would test certain people just to make sure we weren't going to have an issue if they did win Big Tens. Like they'd pre-test them essentially to make sure that you're not going to have an issue. And it wasn't a, we don't trust you. But I mean, shoot, you take the wrong, back in the day, you take the wrong and still now, you take the wrong pre-workout.
Right.
You're testing positive. You take the wrong
Celsius,
protein.
I
It's
don't know if
not
it
on the
still is,
list.
but Celsius, the energy drink, was a banned substance. I don't know if it's the caffeine level, or there's an ingredient in there that resembles cocaine on a drug test.
Yep. And
Um,
NO explode.
so
NO
were
explode.
those tests administered by the Big Ten, or was it an NCAA thing?
But I guess
I'm
I don't
curious.
know.
Would it vary conference by conference?
Our Michigan State ones, when we had them at like school, were Michigan State related. But then when you got to the Big Tens, I guess I don't remember if they were Big Ten directly or if they were. I guess I don't remember if they're NCAA or Big Ten. I'm assuming they're all they're all NCAA like sanctioned. Like you have to test X number and you have to test every winter, but maybe not.
Um,
So, but yeah, as far as when I was there and my knowledge of it, I mean, you would have to be really trying and really want to try to get away with something without it being found out.
so the talk, I wonder if it's changed or if people are just cynical. Because the way people talk right now is that there is very little testing that happens,
Okay.
and things are swept under the rug. A few years ago, there was an Indian runner, Parvez Khan, for Florida.
Yep.
I can't remember if he won.
Wasn't that just last year?
It was like 2 years ago. He
Okay.
won SECs.
Yep.
Third in the SEC 800. Let's see. I can't remember if he got suspended before. He didn't make it out of the heats in the championships. That's why. Okay. But anyway, he was like he had the fastest 1500 time going into NCAA's outdoors. Didn't make it out of the heats because he ran really dumb. But then he was competing in India at home and tested positive for EPO in India.
Okay.
And got he's currently suspended by I'm assuming it was by WADA or the AIU or whatever. So that's a guy who, with the time he had in the notoriety going into outdoors, like the time between outdoors and his positive tests in India was not that long.
Right.
It's not as if he just started a cycle, after NCAA's was done. So that's why it's like
it's possible, right? It shows up even if you take it like, I mean, you could take it now and probably drug test tomorrow and it would probably show up in your system, or at least a few days. I don't know. Every drug's different, right? But he could have. I don't know. I'm not speaking one way or the other. I just know that
I would assume that he was doping during his NCAA career. Is what I'm saying.
There's probably two sides to that. He might have known he's doping and he might have not made it out of rounds because he knew what it would do if he got caught.
That's a conspiracy theory right there.
And I'm not saying that's true at all, but I'm just saying if he knew he was doping and knew that if he won, he was going to get tested. He placed third, right, at SECs. Third doesn't get you tested.
He won the 1500 at SECs.
Oh, he did. Okay.
So anyway, this is opened a whole can of worms. I saw some other runner, his name being thrown about from Furman, because he was a big surprise at Cross the past year or so.
Is he just being thrown around because if what I'm seeing is correct, everyone has qualms with the Furman coach because they always speak on.
She's the Garys are a problem for other reasons. I'm not Dylan Schubert is the one I saw his name on the Let's Run boards. I couldn't find the original. I
Okay.
couldn't find the original post about it, so I'm not gonna. We don't need to talk about
Nope.
that. But
Nope.
don't want to drag somebody's name into
No.
things without the information. But yeah, the Furman coaches are a hot topic for other reasons. So yeah,
I just wondered if maybe that's why that name got brought in, because someone just picks someone who's like, oh, they're
it's
good.
possible.
Furman, we don't like Furman, so
Right, it's possible. But he was also a surprise, I believe, at Cross. I think 2 years ago.
Okay.
Um,
I think that it's an easy answer for people, and I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, because clearly it does, and I'm not saying that it doesn't happen more often than we think it does, because I'm sure it does. But I also think it's an easy answer for people who are like, oh, that person's really good all of a sudden, and or that person is just really good. Like, well, they have to be, right?
right,
Like you said with the Kenyans, they're all doping, right? Well,
right.
that's not true. I'm guessing. Again, I don't know all the ins and outs of other sports in other countries, sports and everything else, but I'm assuming it's not all true.
No, it's everybody. It's
Crazy.
there is an alarming number of positive tests coming out of Kenya right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And if, for example, the women's marathon record holder tested positive a few months after running 2:09 for the marathon, which so a few years ago the record was like 2:20 something.
Okay.
And then a few ladies ran 2:14, 2:13, which was just like mind-boggling.
Yep.
And then another lady ran 2:09 last year, and everybody's like, "Wait a minute." And then
Hold on.
she tested positive. And so it's the problem was the record was ratified, I think, before she tested positive. And so there's another world record that is likely
Yep. Tainted.
not legit.
Yeah.
Which could, I mean, there's like B samples, and these things take a long time. They're like, if you follow the sport at all, you know it's all arcane and
Yeah.
but yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. I think you'll continue to see more, and I think you'll see more people who will continue to push the envelope because they want to be that next big name, want to have the next big.
the hard thing is like the like GNC supplements aside, like it's easier to get your hands on some of this stuff than you realize. Like
Well,
you can, I'm pretty sure you can like go to eBay and search for like type in the right keywords and get some stuff from China pretty easily.
right. And the other scary part is not even just that. It's you buy these supplements from wherever, and you just buying creatine, let's just say, or protein, or a pre-workout, but you get the wrong one and you
Right.
don't know what's in it, and they can put anything in it, especially pre-workout. I mean, that stuff's the Wild West too. It's just like, I don't know, throw a bunch of things you can't name in there, and it makes your heart feel like it's going to explode, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Like that, all that stuff is, you got to be so careful. And I think it more and more is going to fall on coaches as well to make sure that our athletes aren't doing it, only because it's still, we can't control what goes in their body,
No,
but we have to make sure
you
that
tell it like, I think we're past the original pre-workout craze.
yeah.
It was like 2 years ago. Like I'd be in first hour, and guys in my class who had Bulldog Power second hour, like they're loading up on pre-workout. I'm like, what are you doing? Like what you're just like, it's just pure caffeine that they're pouring down, and it's like as much as the entire pot of coffee behind my desk.
i'm
Like, guys, what are you doing?
I'm gonna set this play out. Spent 5 years in college with a lot of
Well,
pre-workout and a lot of other
sure.
things. I'm gonna set this play out, but
It seems like it's settled down a little bit on
it
that.
has. It has. And coming from somebody who did do it for that long, you,
Do I have to worry about your heart?
well, I'm sure at some point. I'm not going to say it didn't help. I'm not going to say it did help. What I'm going to say is that looking back on it now, that the health benefits or the health, not benefits, the health potential problems in the future probably and definitely did not outweigh the benefits I got from taking pre-workout before lifting versus just being smart and being
Maybe just
hyped.
like going to sleep an hour earlier.
Well, yeah, that, or just getting your mind right before you go lift, or you name it. Just having a regular cup of coffee on the way in to get the caffeine probably would have been fine. But it's, that's like I said, I'm going to set this play out, but I'm going to say that coming from somebody who did do a lot of different pre-workouts and probably take way too much of it, it was fun when you're doing it, but looking back on it now, it was really dumb.
Does Mitten Athletic Supply stock? Can I get some pre-workout or no?
Not unless you want some coffee, maybe a Diet Coke.
Okay.
A Celsius.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that was spooky topics.
Spooky topics.
Again, if anybody has any other topics they would like us to talk about, we would be glad to give you our opinion on them or do some research and try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to hear us start previewing indoor season
coming up soon, which blows my mind that indoor practices are a couple weeks away.
Yep.
I can't believe we're here. I've enjoyed our time, but I'm ready.
I'm more ready than I thought I would be. I
wasn't sure how you'd feel coming off from
still taking a few weeks off across.
Yep.
Well, I'm not really taking much time off. I've got the Mitka clinic is next week, the week after states, and I'm involved in the Mitka Meet of Champions this year. So that's an additional meet, and might be taking a few kids down to Indiana for Nike regionals. So I'm not necessarily done.
Okay. All right.
So anyway.
Well, very cool.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you made it this far, we appreciate you. Thank you for taking time to listen to us ramble on. And again, any other topics you'd like to hear us talk about, please let us know. Otherwise, we will see you next week.
Hopefully.
All right.
See ya.